So, obviously I posted this video yesterday. I just want you to see a few of these butthurt comments, okay? This is my missus, by the way. Say hello.
Oh.
It's not my fault that somebody can't get their information correct, but it's remarkable some of the butthurt comments I've had. So we'll just scroll through this. There's a few milquetoast ones and whatnot. But we'll come to... So this one, I've listened to that Preston journalist and would estimate for his deliveries he gets about 70 to 80% right, give or take. His biggest problem is being a bit of a closet Tory boy. It tends to make him shut his eyes, but still, he's possibly about 60% overall better than the MSN. Really now. Yeah, the laugh of this is I just simply posted something that indicates that he doesn't do his journalism, despite classifying himself as a journalist. But if we look at the comments here, so I said that's not really the point. He can cover what he wants, but I take issue with anybody, including him, carving affairs in my country and doing so incorrectly. And here we have Soy Boy number 1. How do you get your news? Go around all the SNP haters on the tube and try to correct them? You're Scottish, aye, whatever. Okay. Second, so this is this guy's in response to me. Taking issues in respect of getting something wrong has at least 2 separate components. Those that make mistakes, those that intentionally do it. I call it that Preston journalist, emphasis on journalist, made a mistake. You say intentional. Where did I say intentional? Anything I've read, have I said intentional?
Mm-mm.
No, I've not, have I? It's like, you realise the amount of work you will need to do to correct the lies of the SNP? I mean, the cunt clearly hasn't followed my channel for all these years because that's kind of what I do. And I'm not even a journalist. Anyway, so I said, never said it was intentional, but he's a so-called journalist. Don't get butthurt, bro, blah, blah, blah. And then I said to the other one, I don't post shite, mate, that's a good start. So the first one says, he sounds a bit butthurt, implying I'm butthurt, right? And then the second one goes, I'm not your mate, so you are talking shite. This is gutter level, like scraping the barrel, gutter level bullshit. I'm just gonna ask for your opinion on this before I fucking start recording this, but I'm gonna say mine quickly. Any Scottish person who sits and listens to that Preston journalist, or fucking Silver Fox Hot Takes, or any other English person who classifies himself as a unionist but sits and talks about Scottish politics in order to obtain more views is seriously deprived of self-awareness and has got a serious problem with self-hatred, you know? This is on par with white people who exude white guilt and whatnot. When you sit and listen to English unionists berate Scotland, I mean, for fuck's sake. Can I just ask your opinion? It's not exactly controversial. What's your opinion on English nationalists speaking about Scottish politics?
Well, it depends what they've got to say. Most of the time, they're just repeating headline crap. They don't actually have very much insight into how things work up here. And they don't really know the sort of ins and outs of how the parties up here seem to function. You might have a Tory boy, like, saying in the comments that he's a closet Tory, but Douglas Ross is completely different to the Tories down south, so even the parties up here are slightly different to what you get down there. And they don't seem to find the nuances of that because they're just watching clips on YouTube or reading shit in a newspaper. They're not actually sitting listening to it on the news every night. They don't get to know what these people's personalities are like or how their parties operate. So
No, I do agree with you in that regard. Like, if you live in England, let's just say, for example, your name's Barney, and you live in fucking Sudbury, and you turn on the news every night, you open a paper, you're gonna get the SNP. There's gonna be a section dedicated to the SNP, and it's gonna be like, oh, Tories this, Westminster that, and whatnot.
and people think we all voted for
Yeah,
SNP.
that's irritating. But what I just find it really like there's a difference between Barney and Sudbury and some guy who makes a YouTube channel who talks about British politics, but then they seem to spend more time talking about they're from England or Wales or whatever, but it's mainly English people. I don't see any Welsh people doing this or whatever. But they spend more time talking about Scotland and they don't have the fucking faintest idea as to what it is like to live in Scotland. They just react to articles. And it's fucking annoying. It's annoying.
They seem to think that because SNP are in power, and they have been for so long, that the majority of Scots voted for that. When if you actually look at the voting record of Scottish people, more people probably voted for the Unionist parties individually, but they didn't vote for them collectively, so we get stuck with shite like SNP because there's not enough support for Labour anymore. It used to be Labour up here, and then they shat the bed, and nobody wanted to climb in with a blanket, so now we've got SNP because they'll split the vote between all these other small parties, like Scottish Family Party and all these new ones that have cropped up. But the main parties, nobody votes for Lib Dem, nobody votes for Greens unless they're fucking deluded. So it's only really Labour and Tory, and there are people in Scotland who just refuse to vote for Tory because of Maggie Thatcher. So it's a two-horse race between Labour and SNP.
Yeah.
And people don't seem to realise that how much people in Scotland still hate Tories because of the Thatcher years, and that was what, 40 years ago?
Yeah.
More than 40 years ago? People still won't vote for them because of Thatcher.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
So, last question for you. What's your predictions for it might be too early to fucking say, but if you were forced against a wall, gun to your metaphorical head, what would be your predictions for the election?
For the general election?
Yeah. Do you think SNP are going to win the same way that they've won in previous elections, or do you think they're going to lose seats?
I think SNP will lose at least a third of their seats. At least a third. I don't think they're going to have the massive victory that they've had the last couple of elections, because the last twice they've basically wiped out all the opposition in Westminster. To get any, and this is what people don't understand that live in England, and these journalists as well. If you are somebody who votes for Labour or Tory or any other party, and you want a problem solved, and that problem could be caused by SNP, your representatives in Parliament in Westminster are SNP, so you're getting no help. So you're stuck with these people that you haven't voted for, who are not going to take you seriously or try and rectify the problem that the Scottish Government is causing because they're part of the same party. I think SNP will lose at least a third of their seats. I hope they lose more, but I think with all the crap that they've been putting out with LGBT, specifically the LGBT, because everybody knows about that. Not everybody knows about the other things that's going on right now. But that is prevalent, and the fact that they are basically grooming kids for sex in schools, effectively, that has put a lot of people off them. So I would be very surprised if they get anywhere near the amount of seats that they've got currently, or had previously.
Yeah. I think, as I say, it might be too early to fucking tell at this point, but I kind of feel like it's weird because there's a part of me that thinks that there's like an orchestrated attempt, like manufactured attempt to like destroy the SNP,
Aye.
such as like Michael Matheson's
Self-destruct button.
iPad is a classic
Hamza.
one.
Putting
Not even
Hamza in
Hamza,
charge.
like before Hamza, but like after Hamza. Sorry, your iPad, and then on like within the day, within like 48 hours of the of the general election being declared, police come out and fucking they're all about they filed their report about fucking what's his name, Peter Morell. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know, but taking all that aside, I think the SNP are still going to do all right. I just don't think they're going to win the way that they have won in previous elections. I think Labour are going to steal some of the seats, and dare I say, maybe even the Tories. To be honest, Scottish Tories. I don't know though. I mean, the Scottish Tories they talk a big fucking game, and quite often, even like if you're like on the fence on milquetoast and you listen to the stuff they say, you could kind of agree with a lot of what they say, but they never actually do well. The only time they did well was in 2017 in that election where the SNP lost a third of their seats, and the vast majority of the seats that they did lose went to the Tories at the time in Scotland. I don't necessarily think that's going to occur again, but I do think it's going to be a sort of a two-horse race between the SNP and Labour. However, I will just sort of culminate proceedings on this front. I love this comment as well. Well, he's right here. You are in for a battering, and as for lies, well, look no further than the S&P. What lies? I'm not the one that recorded a fucking video, and like, what's wrong with these people? Fucking hell. But anyway, provided the S&P lose even like 10, 13, 14 seats, it should hypothetically render an end, temporarily of course, render an end to the never-ending bullshit about independence.
It's
I
a
am
mandate.
fucking sick of hearing about this nonsense and the revisionist history that comes along with it. We were told in 2014 the only reason that we voted to stay in the UK is because we were promised a place in the EU. I mean, it makes no fucking sense. If that is the case, why did they advocate to leave the UK then? You know, oh, fucking hell. But regardless, I'm not going to record for too much longer. I'm just saying, like, fucking hell. The S&P need to burn and die, metaphorically speaking, not Fed posting. I just mean the corporation of the S&P need to go bankrupt and burn and die, and then we can deal with the Alba Party or whatever other party emerges from the ashes. But the S&P need to fuck off. And on that front, bye-bye.